Welcome to the Polish Podcast, where we embolden women to live out their faith in every aspect of their life, including the workplace. I'm your host, Jane Doerman, and I am thrilled to have you with us today. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button to join our community of ambitious women who are committed to growing in their leadership and their faith. At Polish Network, we believe your work's more than just a job. It's a calling. We're here to provide the connections you crave, the development you deserve, and the gospel that you need to thrive. Each episode features inspiring conversations with women who are leading with faith in the workplace. And our goal is to ignite your passion and equip you to lead with wisdom and courage. So let's jump into today's episode. Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads facing a decision that could change everything? The pressure's on, the stakes are high, and you're wondering, how can I make the right choice? How can I lead wisely when the path ahead is unclear? Wisdom isn't something that just appears when we need it most, right? It's forged in the fires of experience, often through the struggles and the setbacks we'd rather avoid. Can I get an amen? Resilience, our ability to rise after a fall, is what teaches us those invaluable lessons, turning our trials into a well of wisdom we can draw from when the going gets tough. Well, today, my friends, I am excited to welcome Alli Worthington to the podcast. Alli's journey is a powerful testament to how resilience and wisdom are deeply connected. After losing everything, she rebuilt her life and career with a blend of faith, grit, and grace, becoming a successful business coach, author, and speaker. She's here to share how her lived experiences have shaped her ability to lead wisely and how you can do the same.
So it all started, 16 years ago. I was a stay-home mom to 5 little kids, and my husband lost his job. We ended up losing our home to foreclosure because we were trying to sell our home in the middle of the great housing recession of 2008. And we spent a summer living with my grandfather. We lost everything we owned except what fit into 2 little pod storage units. And my husband would send out resumes, and the kids would play in a McDonald's playland, and we would use the free Wi-Fi. And I would Google on a laptop with missing keys, how do you start a business on the internet? And as soon, at the end of summer, my husband got a new job. We settled in, and I just buckled down and went, okay, I'm going to learn everything I can about online entrepreneurship. So started an online magazine, started a conference, started consulting with companies, and realized, now my background is in psychology, I just wasn't using it professionally, realized that I had a knack to blend psychology with marketing with the new media landscape that was coming up between 2008 and especially 2012, when everything was really popping. And I fell in love with helping individual women thrive and lead well, whether it was leading their teams, building on their own as entrepreneurs. So ran the conference, and like any entrepreneurial Enneagram 7, built lots of small companies along the way. Some were successful, some weren't. Fast forward to now to where I am today. I'm the author of 5 books. I have a podcast. I spend most of my time business coaching. I am the co-owner of Called Creatives. I'm also the co-owner and the functioning CEO of a retail company called Little Things Studio that I invested in last year. So I'm in retail for the first time. We're up to our eyeballs planning holiday sales right now, but it is delightful. So I'm really living my best life in this era of my career.
For Alli, resilience wasn't just about surviving tough times. It was about using those experiences as a catalyst for growth. We've all had moments, right, when everything feels uncertain, where the weight of our circumstances could easily pull us under. But instead of succumbing to the overwhelming challenges she faced, Alli sought the wisdom she needed to keep moving forward.
But with a little bit of time and wisdom, I can look back and go, I just had a family to support. So I never had the luxury to go, I don't feel like working on this. I don't feel confident. So I'm just going to go back to this when I feel confident. I don't feel like I'm the right woman to build this. I don't feel like this is my calling. Those are luxury statements. Because that's a statement from someone who has the luxury not to do it and be successful. I did lots of things through the years that weren't successful, but I never had the luxury to stop. I always kept throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what was right. Now, that's the thing. And I think sometimes that question of what drove you, the correct answer for me is I never had the privilege. I never had the luxury to go, I'm just going to take a step back and pick this up when I feel like I know what I'm doing. I never knew what I was doing. But after 16 years, I know real well now. In most ways, except this new thing I'm building. And with that, it's I'm back to square one all over again. But what else am I going to do with my life? Start knitting? I don't know. I would be bored.
It sounds like you are the type of woman that's just, like you said, like knitting's a great hobby, but there's more for you, right?
Well,
you know what, right?
I have bought all the knitting supplies and just can't do it. So if anybody
That's real. That's real.
That I have tried. I've watched the YouTube tutorials. I can't do it.
Now, Alli's story of resilience didn't end with rebuilding her life after losing everything. In fact, some of her greatest challenges came afterwards, which Alli saw as an opportunity to learn how to lead well despite her surrounding circumstances.
My husband had retired. My husband had developed a chronic illness 3 years, I think, after we were settled in, and he got his job. With him working before he retired, it gave me a bit of a runway to build my business. So that was wonderful. And then he retired and developed a chronic illness. So I was the breadwinner.
Wow.
And with him sick and me as the breadwinner, that was an adjustment for both of us. That's been really difficult. 2 of my boys have chronic illnesses. So we went through, there's a section in my last book, Remaining You While Raising Them, which is a book on motherhood, where I needed to tell a story about the boys, both, this was during COVID, both being so sick for a period of months, they couldn't really come out of the room because they were so sensitive to light. We couldn't get the medication right. And I actually had to go to a therapist to have her help me prepare to read that chapter on audiobook because it was still so fresh and so painful from that period of life. So I would have way preferred to have lost my home again, than this wave of storms coming at me. And to some degree, work can be a real blessing when there's parts of our lives that are falling apart.
Yeah.
Because for me, I spent probably 2 years straight between 2020 and 21. Everyone had a crap year, 2020.
Yeah. Amen.
But I would get the family settled, make sure everyone was okay. Medicine's doled out. My husband, has a nebulizer, making sure he's getting enough oxygen. And then I'd go into my office, and for 8 precious hours, I would get on the phone with business owners and executives, and I would solve their problems. And at the end of every coaching call, they would go, thank you so much. I didn't see a way out of this situation. Or, okay, this is great. I have a plan. And I just got win after win after win after win coaching women. And I compartmentalized, and I went, oh, I have a break from what's so hard. And then I went right back to it in the evenings. So I think sometimes there's this idea that we can't lead well in the middle of a personal crisis, or we can't lead well when everything's falling apart. But sometimes it's when everything's falling apart that work is an oasis, and leading well is just a blessing that we're able to do in the middle of things.
Alli reminds us that leading wisely isn't just about making the right decision. It's about finding strength and purpose even in the most challenging circumstances. It's about recognizing that our work could actually be a place of refuge. It could be a space where we can continue to lead well even when life feels overwhelming. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short break, but when we return, we'll explore more of the wisdom Alli has gained from these experiences and how she continues to lead wisely through it all. So go ahead and stay with us. Are you a working woman looking to elevate your leadership this year? Polished Collaboratories could be your next right step in moving forward in your leadership development. Polished Collaboratories are small groups modeled after executive peer groups, yet available to working women at all levels of leadership. Collaboratory members dive into leadership training with a faith-forward perspective for 12 months. This is your opportunity to tap into diverse perspectives, conquer challenges, and achieve your goals in a united sisterhood. New groups are launching in 2024. We want you to be a part of it. So go to polishednetwork.org/collaboratories to learn more. Alli's journey through life's challenges has provided her with a unique perspective on resilience and leadership. As we've seen, navigating these difficult moments requires not just strength, but also wisdom. In light of her experiences, it's clear that leading wisely involves a deep sense of self-awareness.
Leading wisely looks like having more self-awareness than is comfortable.
Interesting.
Because I think most of us have worked with leaders who maybe lacked self-awareness, and we've had varying degrees of mental damage from it, depending on the amount of self-awareness a leader has. Generally, the more unchecked power a leader has, the less self-awareness they have in general, which can lead to a lot of bodies along the road behind them, so to speak, to kind of bring up a Mark Driscoll quote. So I think that the most important thing a leader can do is, of course, have accountability, have people speaking into their lives whose income and success in their career isn't tied to your mood. Because if the pushback you're getting is only from people who you control where they go in life and you control their paycheck, you're not going to get the kind of pushback that you need. I think every leader to grow wisdom should be in therapy, to have some accountability, to be working on your emotional health. I think every leader should have a coach, someone who can go, because a therapist generally is not going to jump in and go, oh, wait, I think that's a stupid decision. A therapist is going to be like, let me ask you a lot of questions and hopefully you'll catch on to this point. Where a coach would be like, wait a minute, do you realize you're self-sabotaging? Or hold up, let's think about this. Or is that wise to manage that person that way? So the higher you go in your leadership journey, the more help you need. You need a therapist, you need a coach, you need people who will give you proper pushback, who don't have their success in their career tied to your moods, because that's deadly. And everyone says, I'm fine, I'm very self-aware, everybody on my team is super honest, it's great. It's just not how it is. Those are the three things that every leader needs to be able to grow in wisdom and not self-sabotage.
Wow, that's so good. I agree with the whole self-awareness. It feels like that's where good leadership starts, is being very self-aware. I found it interesting with like the different things you think each leader needs. You know, I see a counselor, a therapist. I don't necessarily have a coach yet. I know I've been kind of looking for that, but I guess I never considered the difference between the two. And I think I struggle. Like, well, I see a therapist, so like, why would I need to see a coach?
That's really common. And the thing is, the difference between a therapist and a coach, I mean, a therapist is going to help you figure out, like, why do you do the things you do? And why do you keep getting stuck? But you generally want to work with a coach who's done something that you've done before and knows how to take you where you want to go. A therapist knows your emotional health. A coach, whether an executive coach or business coach, they know how to take you where you want to go. Therapist has no idea about business.
That's true.
Yeah, they have no idea how to climb the career ladder. It's just, it's like going to a dermatologist and saying, well, I don't know why you can't fix my broken toe. It's a completely different specialty.
That's so good. That's a good analogy for that. So each leader has a specialty in their craft, and are part of your journey along the way, for sure. I mean, I know you said you discovered along the way in your journey that you just fell in love with coaching individual women in their work. How did you discover that passion, if you will, like with everything that you do? Because you have various roles that you do in your work.
Yeah, I feel like the most progress comes from one-on-one coaching. So just from a business perspective, the most lucrative thing a coach can do is run lots of group programs, right?
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with a group program. I run group programs, but for real change, you got to work with somebody one-on-one, and you got to work with somebody to know the details, how their brain works, how to take women from point A to point Z where they want to go. It started for me, I started working with companies, consulting with the companies that were partnering with us in the conference. And I realized after a couple of years that was lucrative, but it drove me a little crazy because of red tape and how long things took. But then when I started working with the executives one-on-one in those companies, especially the women, real change started. And because I started as an entrepreneur, I love helping other women grow their businesses. I do twice a year retreats for my coaching clients. And we went to Orlando last March. And it was so fun having this group of women together. I think 12 women came to that one. And they were talking about like how they've changed while we've been coaching. And one woman was telling a story the last 5 years of us working together. And two women who co-own bridal stores around the country. They're like, oh, we've been working with her for 9 years. And she saved us from doing X, Y, and Z. And like, I've had kids since we've been working together, because there is such a deep relationship and investment that you have in someone in their business when you can walk along in that journey with them and just be with them step by step. And it helps you as an expert know how to guide them and what to do. There's a lot of one-off, like I'll have, someone will say, I'll meet with you 3 times and we'll do X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't allow that person to really be invested in you. They don't know you. They don't know your desires. They don't know where you have a tendency to go off track. So when I work with somebody, it's a great joy, and it's an investment on their part in their future, but it's an investment for me of my time and my attention and who I want to be invested in. And my clients become like family.
That's so good. And I hear the intention behind the work and the passion for coaching women in the work that they do and the dreams that they're trying to pursue and the lives that they're trying to build through their leadership. Inevitably, in every leadership's journey, you've experienced it. I've experienced it. There are times of uncertainty. There are times where the path is not clear. In times of uncertainty or when things just don't feel right, how do you approach leadership with wisdom? And I'm going to add courage onto that too, because I think it's courageous to take those steps forward. It says in Proverbs that, the Lord directs our steps, but we don't necessarily know where we're headed towards sometimes. So like, how do we move forward in our leadership with wisdom?
It's a great question. I'll tell you from my experience, when there's been a variety of different things I could do and not sure which path I should take, or 2 different options, I will pray and go, Lord, just tell me what to do. Very rarely does he ever tell me what to do.
Right.
Very rarely. He's always very clear when I'm not supposed to do something. Like he'll definitely let me know when I'm not supposed to do. But I think when we have a couple of different options in our leadership with where we want to go and what step we want to take, that's where having a coach is so important, because you have an expert to brainstorm with. For me, I always say, please, and I will name my coach by name and go, give her wisdom. So when we talk, she can speak wisdom into this and we can wrestle through it together. And Lord, if they're both good options, show me. But if one is a way I'm not supposed to go, make that really, really clear. And I think the Lord is very kind and lets us sometimes make a leadership choice or a change of direction as we see fit, because both options are going to be good. And whichever option we take, he's going to make sure we're going to be okay. Sometimes it's not that well, do I do A or B? Because both he's going to make sure are good. He's going to be with us every step of the way. We just want to make sure we're not supposed to go take C over there. And so asking for clarity on that, asking for him to be really key, that's important. And in terms of just making decisions, not if it's career related, but making decisions, you definitely want to surround yourself with people who are as smart or smarter than you. And again, have no vested interest in you being happy with them. If you being happy with them has anything to do with feedback, they're not going to be able to give the honest feedback. You need people who are either paid to push back on your ideas and paid to go, wait a minute, let's work through this, or people who are running in leadership positions as high as you or higher who can give you feedback from their own experience. If their income is in any way tied to how you feel about their performance, you're not going to get the best work out of them. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase it. It's not that you're not going to get the best work. You're not going to get the highest degree of pushback from them that you need.
That's good. I will admittedly say pushback is something, an area of growth for me, and I do see the benefit of it because the further along in my leadership journey I get, the more I understand. I only see a piece of the pie. God has the ultimate grander vision, big picture vision, but like I have a piece of it and other people bring a piece of it to the table too. So what are the shortcomings? Where am I not seeing? What am I blind to? God reveal those things to me. And he does that through those types of conversations with people, through coaches, through counselors, through close friends who aren't afraid to push back, even keeping some of those in your circle. So reflecting on your career, Alli, what are some key lessons you've learned about leading wisely that you wish you knew earlier?
Oh, that is such a great question. I think that I'm not as smart as I think I am. And I will only lead wisely if, again, I'm staying on top of my self-awareness. I am developing myself, so I'm not letting any mindsets that are unhealthy or any tendency to self-sabotage. I'm not letting those take hold, and that I'm continually getting wise counsel. Again, I'm a broken record from people who it doesn't matter if they make me mad. It doesn't matter if they hurt my feelings. It doesn't matter if I'm offended by their ideas, because I'll be a little offended sometimes to hear that my idea isn't brilliant, but then I'll go and I'll think about it and it will take that idea to the next level. So those are the key things for me. I mean, really in life, whether it's parenting or in our careers or leading well, so much of it comes down to emotional health, our emotional health and the people that we surround each other with. If those things are on point, given spiritual health being just a given, but if those things are on point, we're going to be okay.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. Emotional health. I think we underestimate how important that is in our journey as humans in this world. To kind of just land the plane in this segment here, Alli, I'm thinking about the listeners, our leaders that are tuning in. They're striving to lead wisely in their respective fields. What do you have any practical advice or encouragement or principles that you'd offer to help them navigate challenges and opportunities with wisdom that they may be facing currently?
Yeah, I think it's really important to whether it's from a coach or whether you're doing it in like a journaling program where you're being asked questions and then you're going to journal them down. Self-reflection, but by being prompted by someone else, whether it's, again, through a program, a book of questions, a person who is asking you, find somebody or something that is going to ask you questions and make you stop and think about things. Because we're all so busy. We're all a little bit overwhelmed and semi-burnout right now. We have been since 2020. And, we survived 2020, but there's this undercurrent of, man, I am exhausted and a little bit overwhelmed. Everyone's feeling it, from stay-home moms to entrepreneurs to women who are leading at the highest level. You need a system to have good quality focused questions coming in at you to stop and make you think. That is really a power move that most women haven't learned in their career of gaining wisdom. But once you get that unlocks your potential. That is going to take you to the next level. That's where you're going to get a ton of wisdom.
Yeah. What I hear in that is this we need to make more space in our days somehow. Yep. To connect to that, especially if we want to connect to God and his wisdom, like just finding those moments in your day, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or the end of the day, to just kind of sit in his presence. And like you said, listen to the questions that bubble up and think about, like, am I prioritizing my time well? Or is there, do I need to turn my attention to something else? Because I feel like that is where the overwhelm shows up for me. Like, I'm guilty, I think, of living reactively sometimes, especially like I have 3 young kids and I have my whole week planned out, and we wake up Monday morning and one of them is super sick. And I'm like, this was not part of the plan.
Yep. And that's the thing. And just having pushback of someone or something that then prompts you, what do you want? Because when I work with leaders, most leaders go, well, I want this, and they name something small and easy. I'm like, but no, what do you really want in this? Don't tell me why it can't be done. What do you want? And then what's keeping you from that? Or simple questions of, what is one thing that you can delegate right now? Yes, it's going to be a hassle. Yes, it's easier to do it yourself, but what's one thing you're going to delegate this week? What's one new system you're going to create to get work off your plate? And just being pushed and pushed and pushed to make things easier. Because what I've found is leaders don't celebrate their wins. Leaders don't celebrate their successes. They stay focused on what they're doing wrong and what they can do better. And they're overworking and they're frying themselves to a crisp. And that's something that it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, that's encouraging that it doesn't have to be that way, Alli, and I appreciate that. I think that is key, to celebrate more wins, as and stop focusing on the negative. Like, focus on reality for sure, and take that with a grain of salt. But there are a lot of good things happening. There are a lot of wins. And ultimately, like the question that, what do you want? That one's been haunting me. And I think it's been haunting other people that I've been engaging with, just this idea of like, okay, what do I want? And how can I build a life that will get me there? And I think that's where God's wisdom comes in with that. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short break, but you don't want to go anywhere, because you know what's coming up next. Ask Me Anything. That's right. And remember, this Ask Me Anything segment is featuring questions curated by a previous podcast guest. Can you guess who it might be? This guest is a writer and theologian with a passion for exploring the intersection of faith and politics. Do you think you might know who it might be? Go ahead and stay tuned to find out as we delve into their thought-provoking questions with Alli after the break. Are you ready to lead more boldly in your career? Join us on October 18th in Carrollton, Texas for the Boldly Conference, where faith meets professional excellence. This isn't just another women's conference. It's a transformative event for your professional and leadership development, designed to help you integrate your faith into every aspect of your work. At Boldly, we're gathering women who are ready to grow, lead, and make an impact. Through inspiring keynotes and practical workshops and deep connections, you're going to gain tools you need to lead with confidence and purpose. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or seeking to lead with more intention, Boldly is your opportunity to bridge the gap between the sacred and the secular, letting your faith guide you in making a lasting difference. Go ahead and mark your calendar for October 18th at Bent Tree Bible in Carrollton, Texas. Tickets are on sale now. You can secure your spot today and take the next step in your leadership journey. Visit boldlyconference.com to learn more and purchase your tickets. Don't miss out on this chance to invest in your future professionally and spiritually. Well, welcome back, friends, to the Polished Podcast. We hope you're enjoying our insightful discussion with today's guest, Alli Worthington. But now, let's add a splash of spontaneity and a sprinkle of fun to the show. It's time for Ask Me Anything. Alli, here is how Ask Me Anything works. We're about to uncover the woman behind the profession, the quirks behind your expertise. I've received 3 questions from one of our previous podcast guests, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to answer these questions to give us a deeper insight into who you are. Are you game?
I'm game.
You're game. Awesome. I figured you would be. So today's questions were curated by Caitlin Shess. Are you familiar with Caitlin Shess?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a student at Duke University. She's a 2-time author, co-host of Holy Post, host of Curiously Caitlin, all the things. She was really fun. She was a really fun interview. So I'm really excited that you get to be the recipient of her questions. So her first question is,
how does your faith help you make decisions about whether or not to take new opportunities?
Oh, that's a good one. I think my faith is really the secret to my success in business. I always say that I'm such a good coach because the Holy Spirit gives me wisdom. Like I can't even take credit for it. I just know that I know stuff.
Right.
So I couldn't do anything without my faith. That's where the key to all the wisdom comes from. In terms of taking opportunities or not, it is my bias to take opportunities, and it's my bias to take action. So I will literally pray and say to the Lord, Lord, I want to do this. Can I do this? And I have 2 courses that I have right now. I have a course to help coaches get clients called Coach School, and I have a course that helps people make courses called Create a Course. And I started asking the Lord in 2013 if I could start making courses. And he said, no. I mean, every year, probably multiple times a year. Can I start making? No. Can I start? No.
Wow.
It wasn't until the Coach School that I didn't get a no. And I was like, hey, I didn't get a no. I'm going to run toward this. Please just make it clear if I'm not supposed to do it now. And that was 2021. So I had prayed for 8 years to try to take an opportunity and got a no for 8 years. And then finally didn't get a no. And I've been celebrating that ever since. So it's my style is I'm going to take action. Please, Lord, if I'm not supposed to do this, make it clear, because I have a tendency to run through a door, and he does make it clear. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's a good reminder for us of how powerful prayer is in our walk with God and just in our partnership with Him in the work that we're doing every single day.
And how long things take. I mean,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
I got a yes. And we're living in a culture of Instagram ads that tell everyone if we're not making 6 figures next month, we're a failure. It's 8 years before I could even build and try a thing. I mean, I think, God's timing is perfect, but it's definitely not our timing.
No, it definitely is not. The human heart can be impatient sometimes. So, or all the time, I should say. Awesome. Well, question 2.
What is one quality you've witnessed in a mentor or colleague that you want to embody more in your own work?
That is a great question. I don't want to call this person a mentor or a colleague, because I wouldn't say that we have that type of relationship.
Okay.
But professionally, I've been able to spend time and work on projects with Beth Moore. And
cool.
I've never seen a leader who is more them behind the scenes than her.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't. And she's so real and so honest and so delightful and so everything you want her to be. But she's a great leader. She's great to her team. She's great. She's very strategic. She follows what the Lord tells her to do, and she doesn't veer off of it. And I mean, I have 2 role models in my work, Beth Moore and Dolly Parton, for very different reasons.
I love that.
And both of whom I've spent time with behind the scenes. And I will say, definitely just they're brilliant And Beth's a real deal. She's everything everyone would want her to be in terms of her leadership in the ministry and how she follows the Lord and how she treats people. The first time I met her in person, she came up to me, and my pastor at the time was dying of cancer. This was maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we were in Greece, and I had never met her. And she walked up to me and said, "Alli, I just want you to know I've been praying for your pastor." It makes me want to cry just thinking about it. She's a real deal.
Yeah.
And I respect it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We need more leaders like that. That's so encouraging to hear that. Wow. I love that. That's awesome. Alli, final question.
What keeps you grounded when you face stresses and challenges?
I have so many people that depend on me. That's what keeps me grounded. Like I'd mentioned before, I'm the breadwinner for my family. I have a husband with a chronic illness. I have 2 kids with chronic illness. I have 1 million children in all. I have employees who need me. I have people that depend on me. So when there's a challenge that has tried to take me out through the years, has tried to get me off track, my go-to is to pray and to ask the Lord for help. To double down on taking care of myself. Self-care is so important, so I don't burn out and fry myself to a crisp, and then stay focused on all the people that need me. And that drives me. I jump out of bed every single morning because there's people to serve and people to take care of.
I love that. Well, Alli, thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit more about you and your heart for your work and just all the things. And here's the thing, friends, we want you to join the conversation too. Do you have a burning question or a curious musing or a wild wondering about our guests or leadership? Now's your chance to be part of the action. Be sure to head to our website at polishednetwork.org, submit your question today, and become a Polish Podcast MVP and get a mention plus insight into your favorite guests. Send in your questions today. Are you looking to grow as a leader while connecting with like-minded women in your area? It's time for you to discover the monthly Polished Chapter Gatherings. At Polished, we're on a mission to embolden women in their faith and work. Our gatherings are designed for women just like you, driven professionals who seek connection, development, and the truth of the gospel. Each meeting features inspiring guests, opportunities to share experiences, and meaningful connections with others who share your values. It's more than a gathering. It's a community of support and growth. Whether you're looking to enhance your professional skills, deepen your faith, or simply connect with others on a similar journey, Polished Chapter Gatherings offer the connection you crave, the development you deserve, and the gospel-centered encouragement you need. Visit polishednetwork.org/chapters to find a chapter near you and join us for the next gathering. Together, let's grow, inspire, and lead with purpose. What would be your challenge for our listener or a next move forward that they could take about applying wisdom in their leadership?
Something very practical. They need to identify one person who's going to help them get to the next level in their leadership, and a person who is not going to let them self-sabotage. So it can be a mentor, it can be a coach, it can be a therapist if they have a background in business and they have an expertise in leadership. It can be someone else who's leading at their level or above or who has experience. But find someone who's going to push you, who's going to ask you the right questions, and going to keep an eye on you to make sure you're making the right decision. Again, someone without skin in the game. That's the secret.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, find that person who's going to help you take you to the next level. I'm taking that one home with me for sure. Alli, could you recommend any resources, books, podcasts that have either influenced your approach or some of the work that you've done as far as leadership goes and that could possibly benefit our listeners as well?
Yeah, a great book that I just finished reading. Actually, it's on my desk right here. The Robert Iger, The Ride of a Lifetime. Bob Iger, who is the CEO of the Walt Disney Company. This is a great book with lots of great insights on leadership actually, they're on my desk right now, From an emotional health perspective, Dr. Allison Cook wrote a book called I Shouldn't Feel This Way. This is the best book on emotions I feel like that has been written at least in the last 5 or 10 years. It's not fluffy.
Wow.
It's written by an actual doctor, and really, really powerful. Dr. Allison Cook is just phenomenal. Podcast. I found a podcast of old Jim Rohn talks, and he's a leader and a leader's leader, and so I love listening to old Jim Rohn talks. They can be a little like motivational cheese sometimes, but they are delightful and wonderful. I love listening to. There's a Shane Parrish podcast called The Knowledge Project. And he is a Canadian. He actually used to work in the intelligence agency. I believe he works in venture capital now. And he is always focused on bringing in leaders. And they talk about, how to think clearly, how to lead wisely, and how to navigate the interesting global playing field that we operate on now. So those are some great resources that I love.
Oh, awesome. Well, Alli, how can our listeners, past this conversation, how can our listeners connect with you, follow along with the work that you're doing? Let us know all the things. How can we connect?
Yeah, on my website on alliworthington.com, I have a fun 2-minute quiz that tells you your strengths. It's your secret superpower. So it's what your strengths are, what other people wish you knew, and a little insight into your personality. That's super fun. And then twice a week, I have a podcast, The Alli Worthington Show. Once a week, it's an interview. And once a week, sadly, it's just me.
Oh, it's not sadly. It's good. Awesome. Well, Alli, thank you so much for just coming on here, sharing with our audience a little bit more about what it means to lead wisely and sharing your story. It's just been such a treat getting to know you better through
Thank
this.
you for having me. This has been delightful. It's an honor to be here.
Leading wisely is deeply intertwined with resilience and self-awareness. Alli Worthington's journey has shown us how navigating life's toughest challenges with wisdom and grace not only helps us grow, but it also empowers us to lead effectively. Her insights remind us that being a self-aware leader allows us to turn obstacles into opportunities and maintain our purpose amidst uncertainty. Do you have a different takeaway from this episode? If you do, or if you have a question from today's conversation, let us know. Share your thoughts for this episode on our Instagram post, or if you're watching here on YouTube, in the comments below. Let's continue this dialogue on leading with wisdom. As we wrap up this episode, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who plays a role in making the Polish Podcast a reality. The Polish Podcast is made possible in part by the generous support of Coca-Cola Consolidated. Thanks to Alli Worthington for encouraging us to grow in our self-awareness today. To our loyal listeners, your unwavering support and engagement drive us to deliver content that resonates and emboldens. Thank you, Polish Network, for creating a nurturing community where women in the workforce can thrive and connect. A big thank you to White Oak Christian Church for their partnership and contributions to the production of these episodes. So why did the leader bring a GPS to the meeting? Because even the best of us need a little direction. So as you seek guidance, remember to
find someone who's going to push you, who's going to ask you the right questions, and going to keep an eye on you to make sure you're making the right decision.
If you're seeking a supportive community for your faith and work journey, I'd love to encourage you to join us on social media and our YouTube channel. You want to stay updated with all of our latest content, and you can do that by liking and subscribing and taking a moment to rate and review the Polish Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Your engagement means a lot, and it helps us create content that's meaningful for you. But until next time, this is Jane Doerman signing off. Keep moving forward and remain emboldened.